Ever since the flamboyant down escalator, look at me event in 2015, it's been our new normal to have a minimum of a week's worth of hair on fire news every day. Giving credit where it's due, Trump is supremely good at getting attention, and he does that by saying and doing outrageous things. Sadly, much of his grasping for attention has no relationship to truth or reality, and that comes with consequences. It's no surprise that President Trump is now braying dumpster loads of nonsense and accusations about immigration and border security. He vomits fantasy statistics, makes up cause and effect relationships that bear no resemblance to anything on planet Earth, and accuses all who disagree with him of not caring about border security. That includes all Democrats who, by virtue of their refusal to fund his useless wall, clearly demonstrate that they don't care about the rapists, murderers, and drug smugglers that Trump tells us are crossing our southern border illegally. Pay no attention to the contrary facts from Customs and Border Patrol. Further, he tells us that his 7th century BC wall is an integral part of his plan for reform of immigration and border security. Plan? Did he say plan? Yes, he did, repeatedly. So what is his plan? Well, click the link in the written post and review the president's in-depth reform plan, complete with the strategies and tactics needed to enhance our national security and for the fair and responsible changes needed to our immigration system. Just kidding. Trump's plan is just a list of accusations, we should statements, and a litany of ain't it awfuls that demonize everyone but Trump. There's even something about supporting nuclear families, meaning mom, dad, and the kids. His plan says we should keep them together, unlike his own zero-tolerance policy of ripping children from the arms of their mothers. No other sponsorship should be allowed, Trump's plan tells us. He calls it chain migration, and that has to stop. Interestingly, had such a policy been in effect a short while ago, Melania's Slovenian parents would have been prevented from coming to America and would not have become naturalized American citizens last year. There is no plan. Nothing. There is only red meat thrown to Trump's base. To understand that, you have to understand something about Donald Trump. He cares about only one thing: what's best for Donald Trump. He has no capacity for integrity, empathy, patriotism, or norms of any kind. He gleefully tears down any structure because it keeps opponents off balance. His inner talk is solely about how to grab advantage for himself, and it isn't moderated by anything you learned in kindergarten. Apparently, he was absent that year. Trump's government shutdown is happening for exactly the reason you think it is, so that Trump can look and feel like a tough guy and curry favor with his base, because that's good for Trump. The harm his actions do to others has no influence on his words or actions. I want to be both fair and clear about Trump's flagrant falsities. There are two possible explanations. One, he knows the truth and is intentionally saying things that contradict the truth. We commonly call that lying. Mom grounded you for a century when you did that. Or two, he's ignorant of the truth and not only doesn't have the sense to keep his mouth shut, but proudly makes up stuff that he thinks benefits himself. He's gloriously pleased to declare that he's smarter and knows more than anyone else about everything. So there's no need for him to ever seek counsel from experts. So he's either a liar or he's too senseless to shut up and get help. Either way, we are the worse for it. Indeed, he is destabilizing the world, so everyone is the worse for this imposter of a human being. Don't look for Trump to do what's best for the United States or for you. If either of those should happen, it will be completely accidental. Like an infinite number of monkeys sitting at an infinite number of word processors for an infinite amount of time. Sooner or later, the monkeys will accidentally produce the great books. Similarly, sooner or later, Trump might stumble upon doing the right thing, but it'll be too late, way too late, for hundreds of thousands of our federal workers, their families, and the diner down the road where those workers won't be eating or tipping the waitress. And it'll be too late for 44,000 furloughed Coast Guard personnel and the 6,000 forced to work without pay, all of whom should instead be focused on protecting our shores. Trump has no plan for national security or immigration reform. His wall is solely a desperate grab to benefit himself. So stand strong against the $5.6 billion payment on the minimum $59.8 billion wall that won't protect us from anything. And make sure your senators and representatives stand strong too. The Republicans will come along when there's enough pressure, so apply some. Now a postscript. In my January 2nd post, I detailed the metaphorical federal worker, Mike, a postman, and erroneously said that he was not being paid due to the government shutdown. Eagle Eye reader JC pointed out that the Postal Service is separate from other government agencies, is self-funded, and postal workers are being paid. To make the metaphor work properly, please reread the essay and substitute a worker from any of these government agencies because none of them is being paid. Transportation Security Administration, the TSA, Federal Bureau of Investigation, the FBI, Air Traffic Control, Food and Drug Administration workers, the FDA, Federal Corrections Officers, the folks at our federal prisons, the Coast Guard, Customs and Border Patrol, the State Department, the Internal Revenue Service, the IRS. None of them are being paid. When you head to the airport for your flight this week, consider this. Our TSA agents who are supposed to catch the bad guys and keep them off your flight, and the air traffic controllers who keep planes from going bump in the night are distracted while working because they can't pay the rent or their mortgage or their car payment and will soon have the trouble putting food on the table for their kids. How are you feeling about flying now? Be sure to let your legislators know. I'm Jack Altshuler.